Hey everybody. So I wanted to talk today about a paper called GLM 130B, an open bilingual pre-trained model. And so if you'll notice, the paper was actually printed and released on October 5th, 2022. And then so your first question might be, why am I talking about this paper today? And so the reason why I'm talking about this paper now is because within the last few days, they just released all of the weights, the model itself, and all of the training for this particular model, GLM 130B. And so there's a few significant things about that. The first thing is that puts this, as far as accessibility of models, this is the highest parameter model that is accessible as far as open source models. And then so the reason why I say that is you have Bloom, for example, which is 160 parameters, 160 billion parameters, but Bloom doesn't. They don't release the code. It is open source and you can utilize it, but they don't release the there's a with the model license itself, it's still restricted. Whereas with GLM 130B, it's released as under the Apache license, Apache 2.0. So like everything is released with it. And the other thing is that it does. They mention it several times in the paper. It outperforms Bloom, and then they also mentioned that it outperforms the Palm series updates. But so it's. This paper was again written originally in October 2022. So the claims that they're making with Palm, I don't know if they still hold true with the Palm updates, like the recent updates. But when this paper was written, and their claims within it are that it beats the Palm models as well. But it's significant to me because even like the Llama model, for example, which is the would be like the second highest, which before this would be the highest parameter like model that we actually had like full access to, is like 60 billion parameters, I think. And then so this particular model is very significant and in that respect and in that regard. And I think that like they build this model out, and a lot of the paper talks about how their general purpose is to release a 100 billion parameter plus model that can be researched. And then they build a lot of things out in mind specifically for research purposes. So, for example, the reason why they go with 130 billion parameters is very specific. Like why they didn't go more like the 175 or 176 billion parameters that Bloom is. It is very specific because their goal and their intention is for the model to be able to fit onto a they list it here onto a single server, and then so 130 billion parameters up front. This is a big model. You wouldn't be able to run it on any sort of computer whatsoever. Like it needs to be run on a server, and then for the full model itself, like this one, you essentially need to be running on. They list it right here. 40 gigs of RAM of VRAM for the full model. Up to, or it can go. You can run the V100 cards, so you can go 32 gigs. But if you quantize it down, then you can go down to 24 gigs. Or down to 11 gigs. So either way, you're talking server. Even if you quantize it down, this is still server level. But without quantizing down, this is a big server. But you can run. But that's what they do. Is that's the point of this is that you can run this on one singular server if you want to, and then so that's the significance again of the model, and I think the importance there. But then so going back up to their benchmarks that they put, the benchmarks are pretty significant. It clearly outperforms GPT-3 and then as well as the Palm models, and then so you can see a significant in some of the benchmarks, like the Lambda test, for example. In other tests, it's less significant, but in some tests, it's just like significantly outperforming. And then so It's a cool model. Everything is open source. So if you read through the paper is just really just talking about everything about the model, and they explicitly mention it at the beginning and the end of the paper about how they feel the importance of open sourcing and making sure that like LLM technology is not owned by a few individuals or a few institutions. They have like right here within their ethical statement that they specifically list out. That like significantly outlining like why they think it's significantly important to make sure that everyone has access to this type of technology, and that's the kind of the best check that we can have on systems. And I agree with their methodology within this, which is that essentially the best way that we can possibly minimize the dangers and the risks within AI development is to make sure that it's as proliferated as possible, rather than having it in the hands and the access to a few individuals, and only a few individuals knowing exactly how it works and the potential and the actual power of it. Whereas with this release, you can, if you have the server capacity and if you have the compute power, you can run this yourself and do whatever sort of training that you would like. And then I'll in the description for this video, I'll link both the paper and the GitHub, because the GitHub release has everything that you need. And then, so as you can see, they were working, and they've been working on the release for a long time, and then it's just that they finally released essentially everything, and then giving you and listing out the everything that you need. Here's all the weights, and then essentially how to set up the model. They also have a 6B version of it's a chatbot version. I tested out the 6B chatbot version, and I'd say it's pretty on rails. So I'd be curious to see the full power of the 130B version. I obviously don't have the compute power to personally run this, but I know people do, so it'd be cool for someone to run this and experiment with what is now like the biggest, most powerful, biggest parameter, and according to their benchmarks, the most powerful open source model currently on the market. Again, released by China, and I think that's the significant thing to end with here, is that we can have opinions either way with regards towards governments and policies and things like that. But right now, China is leading the charge, in my opinion, as far as AI and AI investment. And if you look at the statistics within the last few years, China has significantly caught up, and in my opinion, started to surpass the United States with regards towards AI supremacy. And so whether or not that's good or bad, in the status quo, it's good. To me, this we have technology that's being open source released kind of like crazy. And so I think that that's really beneficial. So while I have been scared of the AI arms race and what it could be, so far it has proven to be kind of the opposite, a good thing so far. And hopefully it stays that way. But that's my observations of it so far. If you guys like this type of content, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much.